Thank you very much for introduction, Lena. How many people do we have among our participants today? Can someone see and count the number?
There are 15
Let
participants.
us check.
Very good. So I want that microphones in the beginning will be on and that we can have some conversation. Probably you looked at me in the beginning very weird, thinking what, I am stupid or what? I'm doing some preparations, my physical preparations, right? Till I'm still introduced by others. Is it a stereotype or a prejudice already in my head, on someone's head? Is it female? What do I do right now? And who I am? Right now, Lena said a few words about me, and it's a lot about coach and some things about JCI. And those who don't know what JCI means, we will tell a little bit later. My company was mentioned there, and I'm sitting like a weirdo right now in some kind of a bathrobe or kimono in front of you in order to ask you actually, what do you expect from me to tell you? Who am I? I am definitely a woman. This is how I feel. What does it mean to be a woman? Does this is a tool of a woman? If yes, which color should it be? Which color is too much woman and which color is still fine? And when it's transparent, maybe even men can use it. If this type of clothes that I'm wearing right now, a little bit ridiculous, of course, is the type of a woman clothes, and what I'm wearing now, do I look right now more like a businesswoman? And if I sit more broad and more relaxed, if I'm a man or a woman, I'll have no gender. I don't know what you experience in your countries. When I present in some of the countries on international forums, I feel myself totally female and totally accepted and perceived as a woman. Sometimes I see myself as a man. Sometimes I see myself as someone who has no gender at all. It depends, of course, from my personal feeling and the circumstances, the environment. Is this name tag of mine represents me? Here's written Marianna Levtov next to it, and here's written expert. Does expert has a gender? I don't know. If I take my business clothes, oops, my guitar here is standing as a secret, like secret photo. It's also something that defines me. Right now it makes a lot of noise, but sometimes it defines me as a musician. Taking off my business clothes, I'm staying in my JCI t-shirt. What does it mean now? JCI woman, entrepreneur, volunteer. In a lot of sense, I'm also a volunteer. Does volunteer have a gender? These all questions that I'm asking you in order to try to understand what do you expect, not only from this 1.5 hours with me today, but from your life and your perception of women in business. Women in business, women in life, women are the same as any other people. Women are the same as men, have also different facets of their life. And if JCI describes me, probably this t-shirt describes me even more. I am a metalhead Rammstein fan. Yes, I don't have a very screaming Rammstein t-shirt in order not to surprise you too much, but this is also me. I'm wearing glasses, and without glasses, I don't see you even, so I'm disabled. Being also a woman and having this feature. How do you describe me now? What do you think? I don't know what you really expect, but I speak about changes that we're experiencing right now. We will not talk today about feminism or any other ism. I don't want to talk about ism. I know for sure that sometimes in different businesses and different environments, we are not perceived as we are, not only because we are women, but also because we don't know to express what we really want to say. I want to give you a small example. This example just happened to me recently, and I'm still trying to think about it and focus on this. There was a business call. Right now, everything is a business call, where different parties were involved, different companies were representing their own interests. 3 men and 2 women. One of these women have been me. I myself presented my company and myself as an expert. I was also presenting myself as a woman, even if it was not my intention at this moment. Because when I speak, I definitely speak in the voice that can be defined as a woman voice. Men that are talking with me using Zoom know that I am a woman and see me as a woman also in business. I had a clash with another woman. The clash was technical. It was a real expertise talk. But you know what happened? After two short moments and 3 sentences, men stopped listening to us. Is anyone listening now to me can guess why? It's an open microphone right now. It's your chance to say something.
They have to write it in the chat, and I can read what they're saying. Rate it as irrelevant, Jen is saying.
Good, nice option. Yes, I need one more option.
There are 4 people writing.
We will wait.
Because they didn't have the strength, thinking that you were having a girl fight. I wonder, how did you know they were not listening anymore? Gender biases against the expertise.
Perfect. So the situation that escalated in the moment of this conversation was the following. One of the 2 ladies, and I will not tell you who of the 2 ladies, otherwise I would be biased, right? Started to scream. Not to scream as she would scream on her husband, on her child, on her dog. No, she started to scream like I'm right now speaking and started to say what she really wants to tell me in this moment, right? And men stopped listening in this moment. They couldn't. They couldn't get the conversation anymore. They switched off. Because today, when everyone is screaming, politicians are screaming, Twitters are screaming, Facebook is screaming, LinkedIn is screaming, the best voice to be heard is a silent voice. It's a calm voice. And yes, we can have here a little bit lack of gender equality. Men don't like to listen to us screaming. The voices, the decibels of our voices are not perceived positive. And it doesn't matter if I am speaking with this voice about real standards and real technical specifications that are really important for you right now. They will not listen to me at all. And this was the result. In the end, a very important dispute was not solved. The 3 men on the call jumped from the call and said that they need to go. The dispute is still trying to be solved by men because these 2 women are disqualified. And I am part of this too. I understand, and reflecting this, I understood more than I understood at that moment. I disqualified myself. I didn't control my voice, and I answered the prejudice of these men by being too emotional. Now, my question to you, you definitely can feel from my side that I say that we have equal rights and equal opportunities. It doesn't matter if we are men or women, we can get the same chances as business. How can it be that I disqualify the right to feel emotions? My answer is pretty clear here. It's not about justice, it's not about right or wrong, it's about feeling the environment we are operating and understanding that this environment is ready for this particular change. Their limits, their comfort zone can include this amount of me being very female in business. However, if I'm not staying an expert that respects the rules of the game, now the rules of the game can be also not fair. Probably I will not be heard. What does it mean in our business environment? I can't give you a universal answer because for your business environment where you are dealing right now, something what is normal and accepted is not normal in a different business environment that we could perceive. For example, if we are talking about Europe, more conservative Europe, we could see this type of behavior. If we speak about real business, we will see different type of behavior. If we speak about international IT business, we see the code of behavior and code of communication are totally different than the classical business. You won't see women so classical and wearing dress according to the dress code, they probably will be in jeans and t-shirts. It's all rules of the game of a particular environment. Therefore, I won't give you any prescribed scenario how you should be as a woman in business. The only thing that I will try to explain to you now, you need to learn your environment. So speaking about environment, I will write the code words on using the flip chart in order to have something for us also to stay. So if you decide about your ecosystem, you can more clearly understand how you continue working with this ecosystem in the future. Ecosystem is the industry and the main stakeholders, main players inside this ecosystem. You need also to understand what are their habits. What are the prejudices that exist in your business industry? What are the prejudices that can block you and stop you that exist in your society? How does it connect? How does it connect together? Now, we are speaking about a society that is more or less secular, it's not religious, so I can appear in my society in the way that I will not violate any rules or codes or cultural codes or religious codes. Will it be the same if I'm going to a society that's more religious, in even business environment that's more religious? For example, if I go to Emirates or any other Muslim country, how should I look like? What should I say? How can I behave? Will my principles of feminism and equality to play any role there? Or what will play really a role is that I want to close the deal. This is another question, open question to think about that I leave for us for later for discussion when we haven't totally open as much as the technology today allows us. Now, the question that I want to ask you next, what are you ready to do? Can you identify prejudice against women in your society and say they are partly true or they are totally false? If they are partly true, do you repeat any patterns of this prejudice that I expressed there? Are you the same like they say in these jokes about women in your community or not? If yes, and you can say, yes, I am like this, what can you do in order to change it? Or if you don't want to change it because it's a nice thing, let's do from this something more suitable for business. How can you make out of this a benefit? And then when speaking about benefits and making something out of you, it's all very beautiful words that don't have any meaning if you don't understand that we're talking about habits. Habits that should be changed and adjusted to your goal, not to environment, not to stakeholders. Please don't mix it. When I am working outside in international stage and I'm talking, the last thing that I'm thinking about that I really want them to like me. No, I want myself to like me for my achievements, what I achieved there, and that I reached the level that I wanted myself to reach. If for this I need to play according to some rules, because it's all one big game, I agree if it doesn't hurt my rights and doesn't hurt my feelings. If I can play and pretend to the level that I will still stay emotionally stable, I will do this. And this is what I'm trying to show. This type of balance, understanding that I am dependent from this ecosystem only till the level that they help me to reach my goals that I built for myself, for my personal development. But I'm not dependent on their opinion, and they will not cause me feeling bad about myself. So we will speak, and we are speaking already about habits and what we can do in order to improve or strengthen some parts of us, some features of ours. And the most important question right now to be answered, can you vision your goal? When we start thinking about women entrepreneurship, why do we do it? I can give you one example. I was in Africa 2.5 years ago, and I was speaking to a woman that finished university, and she's engineer. She's an IT engineer. She has a wonderful degree, and I believe she has enough knowledge to do something with this degree. However, she sold banana chips on the street. I was trying to connect her to some people that could give her work. And she said that it's not her goal. She sees the short-term revenues here on the street. As much of banana chips she prepared and sold, this amount of money she will get, and she sees it. She can foresee her incomes for the nearest future because the banana supply is there. She can predict it. She doesn't want to go to any environment that doesn't have any secure job for her. Therefore, she prefers to stay right now here. So women in entrepreneurship sounds very big and it's very important only if you know what you want to achieve. So when we talk about it, let's define the goals. The goals can be short-term and long-term, but for a woman, there is no difference here. Man does the same calculation as a woman. What is his goal in career? The same as ours. Maybe in our environment we have a little bit more obstacles on the way, but we will try to clean them away. So if you speak about the short-term goals and long-term goals, it all involves such a calculation as a plan. You need to understand that any long-term goals will include a period of time that will have failures, success, and a lot of disappointment. And it's normal, it's not connected to gender at all. Sometimes it can take the aspect of gender, and sometimes women get the glass ceiling, but if you really want to go through, you can achieve it. Just keep smart and apply the knowledge that you know. So what we just know about prejudice can become our knowledge. So for example, if I talk about my community, the example that I was given said that noise actually and screaming is not a big help for a woman. So scream is no-go, and this is one of the prejudices that exists in our society. So we need to work on our voice, and voice should be pleasant, and style of talking should be nice. I know my problem in this. I need to smile when I talk. I talk to you, and I talk very serious, and I hold myself here, and maybe I remind someone his teacher, and then we get into another part of bad story, right? If I can be associated with the nightmare of your childhood, you will not want to make business with me. So I need to keep maximum positive. So from one point of view, we have prejudice that women are bitchy. From another point of view, that they're too strict. We need to find a balance here. So strict, like mothers, like teachers, also no. Can anyone from Europe, from the region, tell me another prejudice of women that we have in our society? I'm waiting for any suggestion.
Bad drivers.
Bad drivers. Oh, nice.
But we also have a question here. Could you please define prejudice for you?
Yes, of course. I want some more options than for some prejudice against women in our society, and I am defining meanwhile prejudice for me. Prejudice for me are
vulnerable.
Vulnerable, emotional, vulnerable. Yes. Prejudice for me are actually like they are written prejudices, so they are beliefs of some people or groups of people about someone else. These beliefs are supported by wrong interpretation or real stories that happened with one or some individuals, and this belief is pulled over the whole group. So, for example, I'm Jewish in my ethnic group, and I can tell you that I'm opening the box of Pandora when I'm saying that I'm Jewish, because I connect to myself directly to all the prejudices that exist in the world about Jews. We're ruling the world, we have stolen all the money, we're very tricky, business with us is very complicated. I am aware about this and I can play with this. I don't feel hurt from prejudice about this ethnical group where I belong to. And I believe that it's not my weakness, but it's my strength when I know what other people could theoretically think and then conclude if I understand where they're coming from, which values they are sharing, which type of education they have, and so on, so on, so on. So knowing prejudice about my ethnical group, my race, my gender, my disabilities, my expressions, and so on, so on, so on, gives me a lot of knowledge and power because I can maneuver and become less vulnerable. Exactly, emotional and vulnerable I can be only if I am not prepared. If something that comes right now to me comes as a shock, if this touches me too much and I am in a business discussion in this moment and I don't know to hold my emotions, you will see it directly. And you will see that I'm confused. If I don't know to keep the poker face, you will see it directly from my emotional reaction, or you will see from no reaction, for example, because I'm considering how to react in the right way. So if I'm prepared and I know what I'm going to say and what I can get as a reaction, I'm already having enough tools. So what do we start here? I would call it better knowledge, better business. We need to create our box of tools that can help us to define how we continue our development and integration in any business, keeping the moral and psychological balance. I suggest that we go a little bit into theory of self-development and coaching, a little bit more in details. So as I told you, we have the ecosystem and we need to learn our ecosystem. And in order to have my box of tools ready, I'm putting there, first of all, knowledge about the environment, about the eco. Second, I put there research about the stakeholders. So if I am trying to get into a business today or tomorrow, to become self-employed or to apply for a job, I must know what this company or what this industry actively does, which direction it develops, how many women are dealing with which critical points, are they only perceived as salespersons, are they only perceived as spokesmen or women, are they only perceived as technicians. This is very important for me to understand when I'm going to talk what would be potential problem, what can be a potential accusation. If I'm not speaking clear, I will give you an example. When people talk to me first, they don't believe that I can give them a hint about hardware or batteries. They simply can't expect it from me. They expect to see a different woman that understands in batteries or hardware. Different appearance, different style of talking, different style of education. They can't so easy accept that I am self-made person and I'm interested in hardware and I learned about it. And this is kind of a surprise, but I know it in advance because I have learned the field. Second, I know the potential prejudice, so I know how to cover them. So for example, this type of knowledge helps me not to scream, knowledge. I'm writing knowledge. Not to scream even if someone really provokes me. This type of knowledge gives me an opportunity in the questions when I don't know the answer to say that I will come back to you. I need to ask my team. So knowing these three, understanding in details with whom I am dealing, I'm already reducing the level of the stress that comes on me as a woman. Next thing that I'm trying to train in myself is to be flexible to change. So the tool of flexibility is very important. And why it is important? I must build a balance for myself, a healthy balance that I can be 100% businesswoman, woman, free time, in my free time, anyone whom I want to be more, and to feel that I'm not stealing this time from another part of myself. So I am building myself a schedule where I train myself to be sustainable in my decisions and my actions. So Monday till Friday, if I am applying to a job, I am already inside the industry, I have a very concrete schedule when I have biggest block of time dedicated to my goal that I defined in the beginning, and then smaller period of time I dedicated to what important for me currently. For example, for me, it is family. For someone, it can be sports or any other personal development, music, for example. I do keep for myself time for health or sports, and a very small period that can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour for reflection and being with myself. So-called artistic hour. It's very important. If you don't dedicate even 5 minutes a day for being yourself, to listening to yourself, you will burn out very fast. I don't say that it doesn't happen to men, and I think that what I'm saying right now can work both for men and women. It doesn't matter right now which gender. Simply, we need to acknowledge that in some societies, for women, it's harder to get into business environment, and to stick to a plan would help very much to keep positive and to understand that long-term goals can be achieved. It simply takes longer. Then what we have here was Saturday and Sunday. Someone said, and I repeated it myself, that women are emotional. Some women are less emotional, some women are more emotional, but emotions are a very big part of ourselves. You know, when I started to work with men, the first thing that they taught me that men have compartments. I think until today hate this kind of principle of compartments, but it's rather more true than anything else. Some men know to put things into boxes. They can say that they work Monday till Friday, but Friday afternoon they go to have a beer with their friends and they switch off the brain and don't think about the work. During the work time, they cannot think about their families or their kids and so on, so on, so on. I'm right now speaking to you in prejudice again, right? But if there is any truth in this compartments issue and they really can do it, it's a very good tool to learn to create for yourself compartments and to forbid yourself Sunday and Saturday to work on goals. Why so? Very simple. I think this is psychology pure and nothing about gender and nothing about any other prejudice. And I'm repeating the word prejudice maybe too much right now. Our brain needs to have a little bit break in order to give it time to work in our subconsciousness. Things that you're working on need to have time to lay down, and some conclusions will come to you when you're refreshed, when you are not tired, and when you slept well. So these 5 minutes till half an hour of artistic hour that I keep for myself every day accumulates into a weekend where I let myself to do totally different stuff. So I release some time for personal development, growth, and studies. So during my work on goals, I understand that I'm missing some skills. For example, I'm missing some technical skills or language skills. I open for myself during the weekend another windows of opportunities to fill these gaps. So I do create boxes, compartments, and I put things into boxes. Not to forget to find the box for the rest, and not to forget to find the box to any creativity that I want to do outside the framework of entrepreneurship. In this way, you could see me wearing JCI t-shirt, for example, or any other t-shirt. It's all clothes, masks, and uniforms that I can put on myself. It will not change my nature, it will not change my values dramatically. I will still continue being a woman, believing in what I believe, but it will give me chance to develop further. And when on Monday I come back to realization of my goals, I'm already different. First of all, I'm rested, and I'm not so emotional as I was before. Second of all, of course, I can perceive new challenges easier because I have tanked energy inside me. And some other activities like volunteering, like learning something new, doing music, or simply sleeping and watching some films can give me new ideas. How can I proceed on achieving my goals on the daily basis? So this type of scheduling and type of change in the habits is very important. What's inside this very simple thing that you don't need to listen to this webinar in order to know it, I have here as well. To push the limits. I don't know if too many women think about pushing the limits every day, but they do push the limits every day when they deal with new things like having families and having children. This is something totally new and unpredictable. We speak about pain, we speak about real big challenge that you simply do out of the feeling. In order to train this also in business, in order to listen to your gut feeling, I suggest to start choosing a topic where you want to push your limits. It can be sports, it can be new language, it can be a fear that you want to work on. Take the most scary, the most adventurous thing that you have, any type of fear, and try to make steps towards fighting this fear every day, a little bit. I'm right now fighting with French, for me it's a big fear and I don't feel comfortable when I speak French. That's why I contribute every day 10 till 15 minutes to learn something more. For me, it's something very, very, very important. For someone, it's really nothing. I know some friends started to run every day, 5 minutes. Now they're running more than half an hour a day. Previously, they couldn't run even 1 minute or minute and a half, saying that the knees are hurting and they can't breathe. I don't speak gender again. I speak simply about some abilities that everyone should develop. And first of all, for women, it's unbelievably important to create this balance between different facets of life that she wants to keep in harmony. What I can also give you here as a tip, speaking about environments and speaking about working activity or activity inside your family, is not to bring the emotions from one field into another field. There are different tips how to do it and different things what woman can do as a, for example, habit in the family. And one of the most beautiful things that I think was also presented in one of the films with Michelle Pfeiffer, but I don't remember right now. The name of this skill is an hour of complaint. You don't need to complain 1 hour, but you can speak with your partner about 3 best things that happened during this day and 3 worst things that happened during this day. It will take you maybe 1 hour, maybe less, depends, but you will let yourself release all this pain and trouble and success that you experience during the day. Your partner will do the same. And after this moment that you finish the last sentence, you don't come back to this. So we are coming to the idea that you have a special box where you don't put your work anymore and you can have a little bit rest. Thinking about it and speaking about it, it all sounds very easy. However, changing the habits and creating out of this everyday routine is a complicated thing, so I would suggest you that you create some reminders for yourself, some mind reminders, and try to do it not in the full force. Trying to do everything every day, the full force will cause you to drop it very fast.
Sorry,
Yes.
we have a question here.
Yes.
Do you want me to read it now?
Yes, let's read it now.
At what point should I discount others' expectations of me, knowing admittedly that there are expectations and prejudice that exist, but then only being concerned about the expectation I have of myself? Take the hardware example. I don't have an expectation. I know my technical facts, but I have an expectation for myself that I know exactly what I'm talking about, which is more important for me than what others may think. Then she comes to clarify, should I worry about my own expectations on myself, or should I take into strong account others' expectation of me as a woman in business and ensure I meet them?
Okay, great question that helps me to connect it to the next part that I'm going to talk. Now, expectations from ourselves and expectations of others from ourselves. I will tell you today that the answer, don't think that expectations of others are playing any role for you, it's right. No. What others expect from you can influence your work, so you need to be aware what others expect from you. You can play with this. It's a game. If you know what others expect from you, you can surprise them. So you can act differently than they expect from you, and they will be positively surprised, and then they will take you serious. It's one of the great tools when you use it as a game and you don't let it influence your emotional level. So in this sense, to know the expectations of others is like to learn your enemy. It's a good strategy for preparation. You not need to have it. From another point of view, my expectations from myself. And here, this is very interesting situation. We are speaking about relatively young people, I believe, and young people have a tendency to expect from themselves too much and to realize it or finalize it as fast as possible. Your expectations from yourself should have a place, but they should be measurable. You need to understand that you can achieve something in a reasonable time. I was speaking about learning French, for example, right? I can expect from myself to speak French fluently in 1 year till 3 years time from now if I will practice every day, not only listening to a class, I will write, I will read, and also try to talk. It will accelerate if I will create for myself an atmosphere that I put myself into French-speaking society on purpose in order to improve the language skills. I can't expect from myself to speak French in 5 days. Only if I sit and learn these 5 days, at least 6 till 8 o'clock in the evening, and still, I can't guarantee that 5 days is enough. So my expectation to speak French in 5 days is not reasonable and not realistic. This is very important, that I don't put myself in such boundaries that I hope that I will achieve something, I don't achieve it in this time, and then I punish myself and I'm very disappointed. When you build expectation for yourself, you need to be the same strict as you can be to your business partner or to your supplier, that you need to take into consideration time, you need to take into consideration existing skills. Can you do it in this time, or you need extra skills to achieve this goal? So this expectation should be a lack of emotions in the sense. You need to take out of the emotional component from the expectation towards yourself and do it like you would do any business plan. Rational, having all the components of smart thinking inside this. What is also important, that you need to recognize the features that you have in yourself, also in others. And if you like them, you can improve them or keep them on the same level and strengthen them. If you adore this person for having X, Y, Z features. But if you understand that you don't like a feature, like screaming, for example, or high voice in someone else, please look how he is perceived by others. If you would be the same person speaking like this woman or this man who is not really perceived by others positively, and you won't work on this, probably you will have the same effect on them. So it's very good to look very objectively at others and try to understand, do you like what they do or not? And how you can change it, act differently, or take over this or kind of copy this type of feature. When you do it with yourself, you need to find also comfort zone. When I'm planning my expectations and goals, as a multitasking person, I want to have a lot of achievements at the same time. Probably it's impossible, but if I find my comfort zone with the speed of my development, when I have times when I can rest and the times when I can not think about my goals, I probably will keep myself healthy and still sustainable on my track. And of course, defining your power source. If you have these strong expectations from yourself without having something that can give you relaxation, that can give you motivation, that can give you feeling that you achieving something or not achieving something doesn't play any role in this moment. You are who you are without these achievements. If you don't have this, it's also very hard, it's very challenging to achieve anything. So what I'm talking about when I am cooking, for example, I like to cook very much. When I'm cooking, in this moment, I am not hardware or software expert. I'm definitely not JCI volunteer or not a coach. When I'm cooking, I'm simply cooking. When I am dancing, I'm probably dancing not really good, but when I'm dancing, I'm enjoying it and not thinking about my boss who is expecting from me anything, or about my future career and to which company I should move in the next 2 years. I'm trying to create these silos and trying to create these boxes in order to have my source of power for myself. And this is actually the opportunity for me also to learn more about myself. I'm becoming more flexible. You remember I said the flexibility should lay in my toolbox, going to learn something totally new, not related to my work, like, for example, dancing or other things. I go through the same circles that I would go in business or a new sphere of business, but like a pilot project. I'm having my moments of shame when I'm start dancing first time. I think that people look at me and they laugh at me because I'm the first time dancing there. I'm growing, I'm trying new steps, I'm learning new dances, and then in some moment I'm going through my moments of fame because I have achieved something in the field that previously I didn't have any records and no experience. Having more of this experience outside your business environment will support you, will ground you, position you in your business even more. So basically what I'm talking about, woman or man, you need to create your own business plan for development. Your balance in life with your time, places where you can feel yourself 100% woman as you think that woman is for yourself, and being lack of emotions in the moment that you go into your business environment and try to observe everything that exists, prejudice, expectations, some type of patterns of behavior. If you can recognize everything that exists calmly, you have this knowledge that you can use as a tool, this better knowledge, better business. The most important thing, when they try to insult you because you are new, because you are a woman, because whatever you are, they try to disbalance you in order to disqualify you. And this is what happens sometimes by women in driving. Women are good drivers or bad drivers. Some countries show statistics that women are better drivers than men, some countries not. If women are doing mistakes during driving, they have their reasoning, and the reasoning is most probably they know that they need to do everything right. They get into stress from this, they become emotional, and they miss a point. They can also put lipstick during driving time, of course. I don't know how many people right now thought that this is something that answering their prejudice inside the heart. I don't know how many men are listening to me right now. But there are so many reasons why a particular woman that you see behind the driving wheel does a mistake. And if you draw a conclusion about all women because this particular woman behaved this way you create for yourself a belief about gender in general. And this is what others usually do. It's our human nature in business, in the supermarket, on the road, in sports, in music, whatever you do. You name it. Woman or not woman, doesn't matter. It depends how you pull your conclusion from one individual on the whole group. And when I know it, and I know different options, I can play with this better. So I want to have it in slides and I will show you, but what I want to come as kind of conclusion before we go to questions is that business plan is very important and have different steps that we need to have in mind. So as I was talking to you in the beginning, we need to define if we are ready to integrate ourselves somewhere as women and to keep the balance between woman doing business and woman doing all this rest of the stuff that she does every day. If you're not ready for this, it's totally fine, and this is a decision. And only for this decision, people can be respected. The second step will be you need to mind and define your challenge. Afterwards, as I suggested, you need to give your own expectations from yourself, your goals. You need to give a timeline. Then make a research. After made research, you start brainstorming with yourself and create the plan. I suggest you doing this in very old-fashioned and conservative ways. I'm working still. If you will not work with computer better and this is your habit, do as you wish. This is my notebook from my work. It's bigger. It has, for me, easier. Gives me easier feeling by working. I need to visualize my ideas, so I write them down. This is my private one. This is my personal one, where you can see my goals from the beginning of this book in 2016 17 until today. So I'm trying to write here my notes, my books that I want to read, and some ideas that I want to achieve. I have also a totally new one that I will start in order to write down my emotions and try to control what really triggers me to explode and what triggers me to be happy and what triggers me to be sad. I have a lot of cards with new words in different languages that I'm going to learn. So this is my tool. I visualize it with pen or pencil and some notebook. Choose your tool in order to brainstorm, because you're brainstorming with yourself. You can continue doing research. You can go back to the field. You can speak with specialists. You can speak with your friends, speak with your colleagues. Make the research more deep, but when you come to brainstorm with yourself, you definitely need to note it down somewhere, because you could get a great idea and it will stay here and then disappear. You need to write what you just understood or just got from this research from the field. Then you go and you narrow it down. So finally you decide that you can't be a specialist in hardware and software. For example, we speak about my business where I'm working. So you define the field where you want to succeed. For example, you want to succeed in hardware. Then it's easier for you to understand which steps to take in order to become an expert. Do you need an extra education? Can you run this extra education parallel with earning money or not? Can you afford it? Should it be online or should it be offline? Where to get the money? Who can help you with this if you don't have money? And if all these answers are no, I don't have anyone to help, you come back to your research and ask yourself, is this exactly what you want to achieve? If you want to achieve exactly this and nothing else, you try to find alternatives to the necessary steps that you just defined before. This is a process of work with yourself that I dedicate this creative hour every day, 5 till 30 minutes, till 60 minutes. It depends on the time that you have and your limitations. I'm doing this process every day. I'm trying to reflect the whole day and I try to analyze what can I improve and what could be my steps. That's why I have so many notebooks. Then when I narrowed it all down, I make a prototype. I ran a small test with myself, how I continue. I imagine myself living this life, working, studying, improving, developing myself, having my family life successfully, not simply having a family, but that I fulfill also my expectations from myself as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, and so on. I run this prototype for a period of time in my head, trying to imagine it very much in details. I can even try this prototype at home if this goal doesn't request any big financial investment that I will regret. For example, if it's something to achieve that you can try in a few days. And if it doesn't work, I come back to brainstorming and trying to find a new way. And then when the prototype phase is over, I'm testing it in a real environment. It can be that in 2 years, I will tell to myself, hardware is boring. It's not mine. And it's totally fine. And I will come back to this whole process again and again till I figure out what will be the next one. What I tend to tell you, there is almost nothing that can be yours or not yours. It depends how you develop yourself and where you take it. Everything that you try until today is an experience. If you take out of this experience pain, the emotional disappointment from yourself and pain, and look at this only as a learning process, it becomes easier. We become more calm. And as women, we're perceived as professionals. Because when women are talking calm, when they're stable in their reactions, if they're really talking on the same level with men without having fear from them, having respect towards colleagues, not towards a man because he's a man, but towards a colleague in front of you. If you have expertise to express, and if you don't have an expertise, you know to ask question in the right time, there is nothing that can stop you from being fully integrated into this world of business and entrepreneurship. Ricky, do we have, I see a lot of text, but I have 4 eyes and I still can't see it. Can you tell me what's written? Thank you.
We have from Swava, are we to change, amend who we are to better fit into our environments, to have a better chance to succeed in business?
Understood.
And
I'll answer this. This is a question not about changing for whom, it's about changing in general who we are as a definition. It depends on your personal feeling. I don't know who I am, and I think that I would probably know 1 second before I die, because who I am today, and it's the only subjective opinion of mine, it's a collection, a beautiful salad or a beautiful painting that includes a lot of colors, and each year of my life and each step that I take in my career add a new color. So today I am this person. Do I really know who I will be later? No. What I do, I don't break myself. Not at all. I have some values that probably won't change. My values of morality and values of ethics that I'm trying to keep. And if someone will try to force me to break these values, I better leave and I won't continue. However, in other fields, I'm trying to be open-minded and flexible, and not to change myself, but to learn something new and to get out of the comfort zone. So what I'm trying to say, my core will stay. The new aspects will come if I will let it come into me. What I'm not calling to, and I have seen, unfortunately, bad interpretation of this way of thinking, when women start losing their own character, saying all the time, yes, sir, to the bosses in order to be perceived. No, I'm speaking not about this. I'm speaking about learning in details, business environment where you want to be integrated, learning new about yourself, how you feel about this. Are you ready to be in this environment or not? And only then make a decision, because new knowledge will enrich me and who I am, but will not break. No moral values should be broken here. This is for sure. Ricky, do we have more questions, or can come to the next part of execution?
the next one is from Anne-Marie. One of the beliefs I am wanting to change is that I need to be strong in a dominated masculine environment. How can I find the balance in the language I use to keep the feeling I am strong but not toxic strong? Any feeling and thoughts about this?
I hope I understand it right. It's a very interesting way of thinking. I will answer you with a small example. There is a very interesting movement, feminist movement right now in Muslim countries, in Asian Muslim countries, where women are trying to fight against violence in families. So they organize themselves in groups and then try to create foundations, find money from abroad in order to create shelters for women who are beaten. Now, it's a very beautiful initiative, right? And they're fighting against prejudice also in the society that this is possible and allowed to beat women. They try to give hand and shelter. In which countries it doesn't work, or in which societies within these countries it doesn't work, where these women are going out on the street and start screaming loud that this is happening. Why? Because when you keep things private in this ethnical group and this religious group and discuss it privately in a small community, it's one thing. If you go on the street and you demonstrate against a man who is the father of the family and head of the family, and you disrespect him, saying that he is executing violence against this woman or against me, you pull the attention of other people to him. So you're trying to blame him, and you create totally different conflict that in this particular environment doesn't work. So yes, this particular woman will be strong, but for a short period of time. I am not sure what will happen to her, but sometimes it's end over also with killing. So this basic experiment that they made by chance with human lives, it's terrible in my opinion, shows that changes need to have time and step by step happening. The society adjusts itself to progress. What I'm saying is to become strong internally, you can already now thinking what you should improve in order to feel yourself stronger. Where are your weak points for yourself? Where you don't feel comfortable? Is it your physical appearance? Is it your skill? They are not satisfied with something that you are right now and you want to improve it. And the second stage is how you execute this power outside. And here, to run outside screaming, I'm powerful, it's like to run naked, because sometimes society is not ready to accept it. You need to know your society before you are doing this action. If in your society it's fine to show your strengths, find a way to do it in a very balanced and very elegant way in order to create perception of others and not kind of unaccepted reaction for you that will hurt you. This is what I say. Inside yourself, you must stay strong. Strong doesn't mean masculine. This is something that also I need to explain to myself every day. It's really more comfortable for me to sit like this, you know. But I was serving in the army 2 years, and for me, this was the position. I was not wearing heels, I was wearing weapon. 2 years, for me, I had no gender. So some things for me are very complicated as a woman, but this is my personal thing. And my masculinity that sometimes come out, it's a normal thing. And if I feel with this comfortable, and if it shows for me that it's all fine for me, I keep it. If I'm not feeling with this comfortable, I'm trying to adjust myself. This is only inside me. Masculinity doesn't show power. Power is shown by emotional balance, if I feel comfortable with this or not, if I love myself as I am or not, and if I am not, I need to work on this, and this will be called power. Ricky, do we have anything more?
We have one from Elisa. She is saying, "Hi, Svava. I think it's more about being aware of how others perceive us, so we can better address the prejudice. And in doing so, we can remain true to ourselves, but still integrate into the business world realities. But the reality is also, we as women face a lot more dimension and layers as businesswomen, wives, mothers, etc. And it's about how we find balance and peace with all the roles we are expected to play, and how we keep our own personal priorities in play." And Anne-Marie says, "Very insightful. Thank you so much."
I think for women that are listening in our webinar, I want to tell you something very personal. And if men are listening to this, please excuse me. It will be very female right now. Before we are speaking about execution of women in business or anything, what's important for me is when I come close to you, to the camera, I don't see you in this webinar. I can see only myself. And so speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself right now. This is how this technology works. So I don't see your faces. So I see only my face. If I can look into my face right now inside the camera and say, here's the pimple, here's the pimple, here it's extra eaten chocolates, maybe here not trained enough. Here I feel that this color doesn't fit this color. And in general, I don't like what I see inside the camera. If this is the voice inside me when I talk to you about this topic or any other topic, also hardware, it means that my internal weakness, my internal lack of stability disturbs me right now to speak to you and to focus on content that I want to bring. If I can tell to myself, okay, girl, the picture that I see right now in the mirror on this camera doesn't fit 100%, but it has nothing to do with the content I want to deliver. Because the content that I want to deliver right now comes out of here and out of here. And what is happening here really right now doesn't matter. Only what will matter is the smile or the honest energy that comes out of me. I will be successful delivering the content. If I will feel uncomfortable physically with myself, I will be never ready to deliver any content, would it be hardware, software, or even teaching on how to be self-secured. So this is built inside me personally. So if I have a feeling right now, I need to express my masculinity in the way how I sit, how I talk to you, that I don't hold my back straight, and I sit in a very comfortable way for me right now. If this what gives me power in this moment, I tend to do this. If the day after I will decide that this posture and this will help me, I will do this. If I need to wear a dress and high heels, this is also something that will not change who I am. It will only change my feeling and will answer the needs that I have. If I have a need to have a manicure and I have a need to eat my manicure, if I have a need to have rings or no rings, it will not change who I am. So if my business environment requires me tomorrow to wear very heavy boots in order to go to rail depot to install device, with the real machines and real installation tools. And if my heart is burning to do this, I need to go and do it in an appropriate uniform that will not endanger my life. And if I'm female or male in this moment, doesn't matter. If I'm invited to a social event in the evening where the dress code is evening dress, and I know that I will feel comfortable in this evening dress, I would rather have one. But if I know that I won't feel comfortable in this dress, I need to find something that will suit this framework of evening dresses, but express me. What I mean is, there are a lot of people that come into every place wearing t-shirts and jeans and sports shoes. It's an expression of their opinion. They say, I feel comfortable like this, and I'm coming like this to any framework that exists. This is my statement. If you're this type of person and feel here comfortable with these statements and can also take the responsibility of consequences, do it. You just need to feel comfortable. But if you feel pressure from a society to behave in a way that you don't feel like, you need to find your balance first, because each time when you feel not comfortable with yourself, others will see. Others will take you out of the balance, push you to the corner, and cause you to express your emotions. Expressing emotions can escalate to screaming and scandal, and you won't be heard again. I think that we can come to the point of the execution, and I, for this, want to show you simply written points in the presentation that I was using during the talk. You can see the screen now? Yes. So we were speaking about the prejudice, and I don't want to stop here. I want to go to the execution point. So what I was telling to you, basically, it doesn't matter woman or man, and every one of us should have daily short routines. They should be broken by periods of times that called creative hours. In this time, you can brainstorm on new ideas, you can relax, you can listen to music, walk in the forest, but it shouldn't be the same time that you usually dedicate for your health or your sport. This is an extra time when you don't do physical activity, when you can focus on yourself and listen to yourself inside. You need to try to do your weekly overview of your success. It can be one of the weekends days, or it can be Friday night or Sunday night, depends on you, but you must have this time if you want to have development and growth. Afterwards, when you see success and failures and you identify your successful stories, you need to celebrate it. I leave it in you to decide how you do it. You know, everyone has its own tools. However, the celebration routine is very important. And I am very careful to say it's important for women or men. I believe it's important for any human being who has emotions and allow himself to break sometimes. That's why celebration is cool. Then, of course, we look at our failures and which challenges we have and try to adjust our plan to this situation. To recognize our failures without emotions is one of the biggest skills that we must learn, because failures hurt. When we are accused in doing something wrong, it hurts. When we are perceived as someone who we are not, especially if it's known prejudice, it's painful. So this is a challenge on us to do it without emotions and to try to draw conclusion how we can change it. And we improve our daily routine according to this. The only tip that I can give you, you need to try to execute it all the time. It will be hard to hold 1 week if you never tried it. If you did it 1 month, it would be easier to install this routine for longer. You can break it whenever you want, but first try to reach one result and to see if it works for you personally in this goals achievement and your constant integration into your new business environment that you right now choose for yourself, if any. Business is something that grows and changes all the time and changes constantly. You definitely have the camp there that is very conservative and doesn't like you because you're creative, innovative, and also because you're a woman. It happens. Accept it. This is how it is. It's no big deal. It's fine. If you take it without emotions, if you recognize that this is what it is, if you know how to avoid these very sharp angles, how to adjust yourself to the situation without being hurt emotionally, in order to keep yourself, your values, your moral principles and ethical principles, you are safe. But you need to be an expert on your matter that you are trying to be specialist for. To be an expert on a matter demands a lot of time for your own growth, for studies, for evaluation and exchange. Don't be afraid to ask any help. And if you think that a woman can't ask help and needs to express masculinity and to show that she knows by herself, it's wrong. If you have the team around you that supports you and helps you in your growth, in this moment, your success is their success as well. And they will stand for this. There's nothing better than having a team supporting you there. Would you be a woman or a man? The only thing what works also with the team, the same as any other challenging situations, if you take out the emotions, it would help you to listen to feedback that you can receive from the team and to new knowledge and not feeling all the time offended that they tell you that you don't know something. You will keep yourself in constant learning process that will not harm you and not harm your emotional balance. I think in this situation, being woman or being a man, it's only the matter of how we perceive these emotional challenges. I don't want to draw any conclusions how different people do it. I can say how I do it. I'm a very emotional person. For me, it's very hard. Sometimes I feel all the time offended because I think that people think I have no expertise in the field. I have people with whom I can share, and I have people with whom I would never share my weaknesses. And this knowledge, with whom yes and with whom not, supports my growth as well, because I'm very careful. I'm not running around and not saying to everyone that I'm afraid of this or that situation, that this is my challenge and this is my feeling of being not comfortable with development. I dedicated time to find good friends and supporters with whom I really can share these points. Sharing this, I also try to share the situation, but not complaining about particular people. Happened to me many times in my life when I emotionally analyzed the person, I understood him wrong, totally wrong. I thought that he wants something from me or he wants to harm me, but actually I misinterpreted his intentions. Therefore, I am trying to discuss with my support, with my team, the situation. in order to find a solution for solving the situation and not harming or discussing this particular person. However, sometimes there are exceptions and you can't. I even couldn't hold myself and not to share with you. The situation happened with me last week. So you see, it's also possible and it's also natural. The trick here is only to admit that this time I failed and I can review it and then I will improve next time. Would we have some more questions? I would be happy if we can open discussion or we can hear some voices, Ricky, if it's possible.
If people would like to speak, they could send me a private message and I can unmute them, or they can write in the text box and I will read the questions.
I see some typing. That's for those who are waiting with us. I see some typing. I can give another tip. If someone of you has time or opportunity, try singing. Try anything that is connected to your voice training. It helps a lot to express the emotion, to break through, and to give emotional flow simply freedom. It's not related to business, it's simply an opportunity to release emotions that we are holding inside ourselves because it's not uh, healthy at all. Very nice question. What if prejudice comes from your fellow woman who thinks she is better or advanced than her fellows? Great. It's a very interesting thing. Sometimes women are using or misusing prejudice against other women. Sometimes they are taking already the templates that exist in society. One of the templates, and I'm sorry for those who have this hair color, that blondes are not so smart. This is one of the templates that's sometimes used by women against women as well. And it's very interesting because if you don't have any arguments in order to win against a person in a conflict, for example, or in a discussion, you start using prejudice or beliefs that are not related to this particular person, but again related to a group in society. And these prejudice or beliefs, they are written in stone by generations already. And this shows the weakness in this sense. And it's a very interesting approach when you turn the table and you don't look at this woman who is using prejudice against you as connectivity issues. Ricky, am I back?
Yes, you are back now.
Yeah, great. So sorry for this. We had some connectivity issues at home, I believe. So what I was saying that look at this as not a tool against you. Look at this as a weakness of this particular woman and try to analyze or to observe what exactly she is trying to show you subconsciously. That she has no professional arguments to fight against you. That's why she fights with prejudice. Analyze it as a policeman who tries to make an investigation. So look at this in details and totally without emotions. Ricky, can you still see me or not anymore? No.
Now I can see you. You look like you are twice in the... now you're just one time.
Okay.
So now I should see you.
What are the tips to master emotions? I see, and here are emotions always bad thing though for both men and women? Business emotions can often mean vulnerability and honesty. Is that not needed in business? Yes. I think that emotions are very important in business, but they should be controlled. And when I say controlled, I don't mean that they should be suppressed. we need to put them in the right stream and the right channel in order to use them for our own benefits in business. When I'm honest with my client, I choose the time, a moment in time when I show him that I'm honest with him, when I share with him something that I share only with him, and he gets this feeling from me that he's special for me, he's exclusive for me. If I'm simply all the time honest and speaking everything that I want to say, what is on my heart, it would be sometimes seen as rude and kind of unpolite way, because I need to moderate my emotions. So controlling in this sense, not a meaning of holding everything to myself, but wisely thinking where and what and to whom I show. And this I can know again if I learn my ecosystem and I know with whom I am dealing. I know their expectation, I can guess them, and definitely know their prejudice about me or about women. How to master emotions. So this is exactly connected to what we are talking about. There is very good two practical tools for this. One practical tool says, please don't suppress your emotions inside you, especially negative, but also positive emotions. Everything that is suppressed physically will get out. If it doesn't get out through your mouth, it can get out through any type of illness or any problem that you can experience further. So one of the way is to express it still, but that no one sees. There is different names to this technique, and of course the most attractive is the samurai style, but forget about it. No samurais were doing the same. And this I know, unfortunately, I read some books about it. So you experience an emotion because someone is rude to you. So someone is screaming on you, for example, in this moment, and you know that you can't react back. You are not in circumstances to answer because, for example, this is your boss or a company, competing company, or a client, and maybe they even right, but the expression that they use causing you emotional high. So you feel ashamed or you feel very angry, you feel offended, whatever you do, but you can't react. You know that you can't react. In this moment, if it's immediate what's happening, you take the deep breath and you try to continue without reacting on this. But you remember that you need to release it. If you don't have time, you need to hold on this period to keep calm as much as possible. And then when you are alone with yourself, you need to allow yourself to express everything that you wanted to express. You need to say everything you want to say. The best way is to use, for example, open a tap of water. You go to toilet of your company and you try to express it all when the tap of water is running. First of all, it helps a little bit acoustically that no one hear all the cursing about your boss that you're saying, of course. But second of all, it's kind of a visualization of something that takes your emotions away from you. So it washes it away. This is a little bit a game of spirituality and a mental game, but you need to release it definitely. If you are able to release it inside your mind, not to speak it out, imagine this person in front of you and you tell him everything that he wanted to say. When your source of cursing, emotions, and tears is over and it's done, make a step back out of this situation and try to again hear what he said. If you still feel emotional, you come back into situation of the conflict with him inside the mind. You again curse him as much as you can, then again step out. And what he actually said, he said that the service that your company is providing is not optimal. He says it in the way that is not appropriate for you, but probably he said this. Or if it's a real conflict, he shows you that he's scared and afraid from you. That's why he attacks you emotionally, trying to pick the most painful points. What shows you if a person attacks you? That he is afraid of you and you actually winning. So if you hold the face in this moment, you could really win the whole strategical battle. Then you come back to your working table and you try to prepare every action. If the action is needed in written, or to make a conclusion for yourself regarding the situation and relationship with this person. So this execution of your emotions must be, this is necessity. Sometimes people say you need to feel that you send love or flowers to the person who wishes you bad? Yes, maybe, maybe if you're able, then please let me know and I will name you another Jesus and we will say that Messiah just came. Or you're really very high, a more intelligent person who can rule your emotions so much that you see in any person who wishes you bad, real lost sheep that simply need to be wished good and send flowers. I don't know to do it, so I use another technique when there is a person who really nerves me and who really offends me, and I know that he hates me because I'm a woman, I'm an immigrant, I have accent in my English, I have accent in my German, I have wrong hair or wrong color, and I don't have expertise where he wants me to have. I imagine him in front of my face again, and in this moment, I kill him. In my head, I kill him, I smash him, I beat into him, I throw into him knives, I throw into him tables, everything. I simply close my eyes and I meditate and I imagine that I simply do with him something terrible. I do out of him roulette and cutlet and farce and again. And when all my emotions, without words, expressed toward this person, in my imagination, I pick up his ashes, everything bad that I made for him, and I build him up again. I make his hair back again. If it's a woman, I don't know, I put lipstick on her lips. I make him or her beautiful, healthy, and great looking again. And then when my negative emotions are empty, in this moment, I am wishing him well. I'm really, honestly, I'm wishing him all the best that exists in the world, and I can do it because I don't have this huge stone of disappointment, pain, and anger against him. And this is all happened only in my mind. Emotion is the game of my mind and the game of my hormones that I can't control. So if I play this game till the end in my mind and let my hormones play this game, when I need to face him again, and it's all done, I can be totally calm. This needs practice. It doesn't work from the first time, but at least a few times. Thank you for compliments. Thank you. It's great. Thank you so much. Any other questions? We have another 4 minutes. I don't know if we can stay longer. I'm ready to stay longer, but the bosses need to rule and say. Ricky?
We can stand, but we advertise the time until 7:30 GMT.
Mm-hmm. So we have 3 last minutes. So I see that someone is typing. So I will start to prepare my farewell. So I have these few points here written. You can reach out me in Facebook. You can reach out me in LinkedIn, whenever and wherever you want, and we can discuss it more. If something doesn't work, you try it, and you still feel uncomfortable, come back to me, and we try to find a solution. If you still have a question, if women have a place in business and can integrate into a business environment, the answer is definitely yes. They have the same right as men. They have the same chances as men if they can rule themselves into this environment wisely and based on a strategy that they developed carefully. But doesn't matter if they're men or women, someone who tries himself in entrepreneurship or business having zero plan and relying only on luck, I said right now, he could lack in this, he could fail in this same style. Doesn't matter man or woman. Simply for women, it's important also to understand what your own society tells about women in business and which hurdles you could have. If you know where the problems are, you can avoid them, you can maneuver better because you learn the material, you learn the field, you know the water you are entering, and you know where you are stepping. This is what I'm trying to say. This is unfortunately the reality. This is thousands of years of not respecting women in this world. I'm very sorry. world developed itself this way and we need to deal with this, we will change it slowly, step by step, if we do it precisely and controlling our emotions.
I think Marianna's link froze again. I want to take then just a moment to thank you everyone for being in this webinar. It has been a very good experience and a lot of learning points. I have learned so much, and I want to say thank you to Marianna for covering this topic. And the European Equality and Diversity Taskforce are working on the next webinars for the empowerment program, and we should be advertising the next webinars just in the next few days. So thank you everyone for attending, and have a lovely rest of the day.